It was barely 2 years prior to the first Speed Run event, and not to repeat what was said before, but it never fails to amaze me to see how far the PRIORAT has come in those 22 years. Believe it or not, for the first years it was almost impossible to sell the wine. Nobody wanted to hear about the PRIORAT. Spanish wines in general had a bad reputation, so it was going from distributor to distributor with bottle in hand and being lucky they even wanted to taste it. But we were fortunate, we got great press fairly early on, and things picked up. And after a few years, amazingly, before we knew it, the spotlight was on the PRIORAT. So the vines, the vineyards, are located all around the village of Gradayops, which is in the western part of the PRIORAT, where the topography opens up towards the Avery River. The Avery River is not very large, certainly not by North American standards, but it is a great climate equalizer in the sense that even though Gradayops is warmer than the eastern parts, such as Vilea or Florida, which we don't have any wine from there today, but the weather tends to be more even, and it sort of promotes even ripening in general, except when we have those 100+ temperatures. We have seen pretty much everything. Yeah, by the way, there were this picture with the 2 wolves. Gradayops in Catalan means pleases the wolves, and the debate is still raging on as why exactly. I don't know whether the villagers at the time were more plump than in other ones, but okay, that's what we got for a while. And so yeah, I have different parcels all around the village. We have seen pretty much everything in the PRIORAT since the beginning in terms of plantations, from wide terraces to coach type planting, from Carignan to Touriga Nacional, whatever. The beauty of the PRIORAT is that we are not very heavily regulated. We can almost plant anything we want and do whatever we want. That was the one big advantage of being ignored by everyone for so long, is that we actually got to write the rules ourselves. So we made them as light as possible. This is one of the most recent vineyards that was planted, so this is more, it's on a very steep slope. And, well, those
so
are
the record in North Carolina, mules are not classified as a vegetable.
No. My undergrad having dinner al fresco. And the planting Eric mentioned earlier, to plant, we have to bank a hole through the rock with an iron bar. So the seed guy gets the one with the T because it's a little easier, and the stronger one gets to just push it down. And that's pretty much it. I mean, the next step over would be dynamite, but I'm not sure I really want to go there. So this is the Erasmus is really the most of the blend is Grenache. We, as I said, there are many different varieties in the PRIORAT, but I am very pleased. I am a Burgundy lover, and for me, Grenache is the Pinot Noir of the South. So that's what I had in mind from day one, and I'm very pleased that I stuck with it, even though 25 years ago, Grenache got some pretty disparaging comments from the press. It was considered as a highly productive, diluted sort of variety that was only good in blends. But the truth is, in the PRIORAT and other places when we treat it well, I get less than a ton per acre of my Grenache vineyards. There is also a little bit of Syrah. I was not quite sure at first when I planted it, but I actually, as I identify it year after year, I loved it. So I have more of it, but Grenache is definitely my all-time favorite. I love working with it, even though, and probably because it is, like Pinot Noir, it is an extremely temperamental, unpredictable, fragile variety, but it is absolutely transporting. Even if it's very frustrating at times in the first vintages when I was still not completely used to that, I cut myself more than once kicking the bats and yelling at the lines. But in the end, it usually comes out for the best. So in terms of vinification, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. It's the simpler the better. Basically, the grapes are picked, I taste them every day. They're picked when they're ripe, but not overripe, which is a very fine line with Grenache because it can go over very easily towards the end of the ripening season. I like them when the skin gets just a little soft, but you cannot then let them get mushy. After that, cooling down the grapes to do a sort of natural full maceration. The wines start fermenting. They usually macerate for about 5 or 6 weeks. Each parcel is vinified separately, completely separately, and aged separately. I only make the blend 6 weeks prior to the bottling because I really want to see how each parcel is evolving with time. And just a few pigeage, especially the 09 vintage was a warm, regarded as one of the warmest vintages in the last 10 years because we had a very mild winter, but it was actually, we had a little bit of rain here and there, just enough, that was fine. And the flowering was a little disappointing. We got very small crop, and because of the warm temperatures in general, the berries were pretty small, so the yields were even lower. But it's a wine I was a little concerned about the tannins and the big. Actually, my focus during those vinifications was to go as softly as possible. And the wine is in vat for the 09 was in vat for 6 weeks at least. And I press when I feel that the wine is ready to go, even if it's not done fermenting. And every year there is a couple of them are just go into barrels still warm, and they finish fermenting whenever they please. I mean, it can be a month later or 6 months later. It's that's not really a concern to me. And they're very comfortable down there. It's dark and quiet, and they usually works. So that's the you have the line here. It is still, you can feel the tannins. It's still a very muscular wine, but it is softening around the edges already, and you can feel the complexity coming through.
We chose this picture because we think it's a great visual to present in pictures what words don't do justice to, which is small is beautiful. What you're looking at without any cropping of the photograph is not 1 but 2 years entire production for the world of this wine. So viva la allocation for California.
She says she